Okay, I'm going to just put a slider on the screen. I'll explain these sliders in a minute, but I just want to demonstrate one thing. As we start to learn how to build stuff in Max, there are three important things I need you to know. Two of them surround how to get help and find answers. One of them is about the kind of how to interact with the Max patching window, which is what we're in here. Okay, so these these patching windows can have three states and then a few more. Okay, right now this is unlocked, which means I can move things around. Okay, if I go to this bottom little corner thing, little padlock, that's gonna lock it. Now, if I try to click on this, I'm gonna actually use it and interact with it. Okay, so if I want to interact with something, I need it to be locked. If it's unlocked and I try to use it, I'm just going to move it around, right? So locked and unlocked. Now you can toggle between those two by clicking down here. You can also command click on Mac. I'm not sure what it is on a PC, but a modifier key. And then click any dead space. This is going to toggle you on and off. Okay. You can also, there's a third thing you can do. If you are unlocked and you want to interact with this, you can hold command and then click on it and interact with it. Okay, but locked and unlocked are our main two things. Okay, then there's also something called presentation mode over here. That's a special way of interacting with live where we basically can hide everything we don't want and just make it look really pretty. We'll do that at the very end, but this is where that comes from. This is why if you open up another patch that's already done and looks really cool and you want to interact with it, usually you need to click on this presentation mode to get it out of presentation mode so that you can interact with it. And then there's a third thing called freeze, where we can basically lock it down and make it so we can't do anything with it except interact with it. Okay, so that'll often be on while for patches you've downloaded and are trying to use also. The main thing we're going to interact with in this class is locked and unlocked. So you'll see me toggle between locked and unlocked a whole bunch as I'm trying to explain how things work. Just remember what I'm always doing is command click somewhere that's not an object. Okay, that's how we get in and out of locked and unlocked mode. Okay, two quick little videos on getting help. The first is mouse over help. Now here's what that means. All over the place in live, on objects, on UI objects, on messages, on everything, you're going to find inlets and outlets. Okay, these are these little gray circles right here, inlets and outlets. I'll show you this in just a second, but if I go to an object like Uzi, for example, it's got a bunch of inlets at the top. It's got 2 inlets at the top and 3 on the bottom. And in order to use any object, you need to know how those work, what comes out of them, and it's different for every object. How do you not go mad? Well, put your mouse over it and then just wait a second. And I'll tell you, this one, it says watch out because this is kind of a joke. This one says done banging bang. Done banging bang. Okay, again, this was kind of funny. I should have picked a more serious object. But basically what that's saying is that something's going to happen in this outlet when it's all done. This one is going to say the current index, like where it is. This one's going to say, this one says start shooting bangs. So we're going to send that something to say start shooting bangs. And this one, it says how many bangs to shoot. Now, if you couldn't figure out what Uzi does from those 5 things, what it does is it shoots out a whole bunch of bangs, like a lot. But let's get rid of that for the moment. Let's look up here. Displays value received. Outputs value when slider is changed. Good. That's important to know. So whenever you're faced with an object of any kind and you don't know how to use it, put your mouse over the inlets and outlets and look at what it's telling you there. Sometimes that's all the information you need. But if that's not all the information you need and you want more help on how to use it, then we have help files. Let's learn about those. Okay, so we've got this slider here. How do we use this slider? We can figure out what our inputs and outputs do, but let's say we need a little bit more help. Like, let's go over to our output and it says outputs value when slider is changed. And you're like, what does that mean? What can I do with this? Well, let's find out. So control click or right click to get this contextual menu. And then right at the top, open slider help. Okay, this works for most objects. This is going to open a file that is a help file and shows you exactly how to use this thing. Okay, so this shows us some things that we can do. Here's different layouts for it. It can be vertical, it can be horizontal, it can be a floating point number. There's some tabs up here to show you different things. You can change its color. You can do all kinds of fun stuff. So this will walk you through exactly what you need to know to use this thing. If you go to the right side, it says these are messages that you can send it. These are attributes, which we'll talk about later. And then see also other things that are similar to this. All right. Now you may have noticed that these help files are full functioning Max patches, right? So you can copy out of them. Like, I'm going to unlock it and then say, okay, this is what I'm trying to do. So I'm just going to Command C, copy that, go back to my project and paste that in, right? So we do this all the time. Even I do this. Copy stuff out of help files all the time. It's totally okay. That's why they're there. So in order to get into a help file, control click, open help, and now we have the help file, in this case, for a number box. And it tells us everything those things can do. So as you start getting into learning more and more objects, you should be opening those help files like at least once for every object that you encounter. I mean, I do it. When I'm making a project, I'm constantly opening help files and saying, wait, how do I use this thing again? And looking for it. Another thing I do is I might say, I don't know what the best object is for this particular problem I'm facing, but I know one that's close. So open that, go to that right side, scroll down till it says see also, and it's going to give me a bunch of objects that are similar, but might be the actual thing I need. So those help files are awesome. Okay. Now that we've figured that out, let's go through this row of stuff at the top and just figure out some of the basic tools that we have in this top palette.